Don't start a business because you want to be a millionaire, so maybe take a few steps back to take a leap forward. You often see the end point and you don't see the kind of struggle that there was to get there. We're all just kind of winging it. Hello, welcome back to my channel. Please can we just take a second for the beautiful aesthetic background of this video. If you've watched my videos before, you'll know that I was living with my mum and then I just moved in with Chef Jeff, and usually like when I film my videos it's been like probably amongst packing and moving and lots of other things, and now I'm just here in our lovely spare bedroom, which you would have seen if you watched my last video because I included the kind of spare room makeover, so I'll link that video up here if you're on your phone or a desktop. But yes, apologies in advance if all you can focus on is the beautiful aesthetic and not the content in this video, but this is a little bit of a different one for me. I wanted to make something which was a little bit more useful and something that I get a lot of questions about, and also something that I wish I'd seen before I kind of started my own business. And I just want to kind of disclaim that I am not an expert in like the business field. My business is new and I've only really launched properly just over 2 months ago, so it's super new, but I thought that's why this was a good time to make this video, because it's more about being just like a complete noob, and if you want to start your own business, kind of where to start and just a few things that I did. Obviously if you need like official advice of how to start a business, like there's plenty of resources out there, but just kind of from me to you, what I went through the last year and a half kind of setting up my own business. I just thought I would share with you what I did. And to be honest, in my opinion, I just kind of think most people, like we're all just kind of winging it. Like when you see people who are kind of super established, like you often see the end point and you don't see the kind of struggle that there was to get there, whether that's like your favorite Instagram account or favorite YouTuber or your favorite business or your favorite brand. You're only seeing the end result. No one shares the kind of struggle to get there. So just bear that in mind when, you know, if you are seeing other businesses or you do want to start your own business and you're kind of comparing your situation to someone else's, don't, because it's very hard to compare your climb to someone else's when they're not showing it. And yeah, like I wouldn't call my business successful. I mean, it's going the best that it can and it's kind of going as good as I would have ever hoped it to, so obviously that's great. So anyway, without further ado, I have made some notes. Before we get into it, give this video a like, purely for the aesthetic background. And if you're not subscribed, please subscribe because I upload new videos every Wednesday and Sunday. I'll give you a little second to do that now. Okay, so the first thing when it comes to starting your own business is obviously what is the business going to be, and I think if that's not obvious for you yet, then maybe there's a little bit more time that needs to be done kind of finding maybe your hobby or your passion. So for me, I set up an Instagram account called Blooms Eats. I think it was like February 2019 that I did my first post, and I started that Instagram account because I was always posting food posts on my personal account. Like my personal account is mainly just like, you know, like selfies and like outfits and stuff like that, but I was like always posting cooking and food, and people were always replying to my stories saying like, what's the recipe, send me the recipe, and I would never put it on my actual feed because it didn't go with the like selfie aesthetic, like, you know. At that time I'd been healthy for about a year. If you don't know, I went through a bit of a weight loss journey and I kind of had a complete lifestyle overhaul where I kind of got healthy and learned more about nutrition and fitness and energy expenditure and just how to manage my weight after 10 years of yo-yo dieting. But that's completely by the by, but that's kind of where it started from. So anyway, after posting, you know, food, Insta stories and cooking and stuff all the time, and people had obviously commented on like my weight loss and said like, what have you been doing? I decided to set up a separate Instagram and called it Blooms Eats, because my name is Jess Bloom. People call me Bloom, you know, Blooms Eats. It's my eats, it's what I eat. That was it. To be honest, at the beginning I was posting on that Instagram account like a couple of times a week, and then I basically had about 6 months of just like not posting on it at all because like I went through a breakup and then I was moving and I just kind of sacked it off. And then kind of towards the end of 2019 I started posting on it again, and then obviously we went into lockdown in the following March, pretty much straight after I got put on furlough. And obviously I had Blooms Eats as like my hobby, so every day I was just like making recipes and I was just cooking and I was just posting and kind of being very honest about like how I felt in lockdown, and obviously people kind of resonate with that. But it was very obvious to me if I was going to set up my own business what kind of thing it would be. Like, I've been through a weight loss journey. I'm obsessed with food, I'm obsessed with cooking, I'm obsessed with like balance and like not having a very boring lifestyle. Like, I'm very happy and comfortable and confident in my body now, where I never used to be, and now like I have a completely all-inclusive diet. My whole approach is that you don't have to exclude anything out of your diet, and you can still do all the social occasions. It's all about just like knowing your body and knowing how to balance like properly. It's literally like balancing your finances. It's exactly the same with like energy expenditure. But anyway, it was very obvious to me if I was going to start a business what it would be. And I had all this free time on my hands because I was on furlough, and decided to get an official qualification, because in my spare time I would read books, I'd listen to podcasts, I'd watch documentaries, like I'd read articles. I was just constantly trying to consume information about nutrition. I was even doing like free webinars and just always trying to educate myself, because I just think the more educated you are, you know, the better. But I was like, no, I need to have an official qualification, and then like who knows where that'll take me. And it was mainly something to kind of do whilst I was on furlough. Like, I had no idea how long I was going to be on furlough, but I was like, this will be a great use of my time, like we're in lockdown. So I studied a level 4 nutrition for weight management and athletic performance. So I wanted to specialise in like an area, because I thought if I'm gonna start my own business, it's probably going to be, you know, around weight management, and obviously I'm into fitness, so having the kind of weight management and nutrition for athletic performance, you know, specifics, I just knew that that was what I wanted to do. So I did that course. I did it with Origin. It cost me about £1,000, which I was paying monthly. So if you are somebody who wants to do a qualification and obviously it's very expensive or whatever, then just know that there are kind of like options out there where you can like pay monthly. Once I kind of got deep into the qualification, I started kind of doing other things. Like, it all just kind of happened when I had no real plan, and that's why I said I feel like everyone is just winging it. So I decided to buy the domain names bloomseats.com and bloomseats.co.uk, and I kind of bought a Squarespace. There are obviously lots of kind of website building platforms, but Jeff used Squarespace, and that's the one I'd kind of heard of, so I just like went on there and decided to kind of build a website. Now, I've never built a website before, and I built my entire website by myself from scratch. Obviously there was no kind of deadline on it, and I did it extremely slowly because I found it extremely boring. And obviously if you have the finances to pay someone to do it, that's great. But what I did, I remember when I set it up and I did the kind of like colours and the imaging and the you know, like the tabs at the top, and I'd done a little bit about, you know, on the homepage and whatever, and I remember sending it to my sister, and she was like, that would have cost you like hundreds of pounds just to get someone to set it up for you. And then, you know, I started inputting recipes on there, wrote some blog posts, I did like my contact page, and I did it extremely slowly because it was like a chore for me to do, but also like I knew I had the time, so paying someone was completely pointless, and I knew I wasn't in a rush because at this point I was still on furlough and had no idea what I was going to do. Like, I didn't even really think I was going to start my own business at the time. I just kind of was getting the qualification, had the website, and that's obviously a kind of normal place to start, is get a website. I feel like it looks daunting when you first do it, but if you just kind of like look through it and like, you know, Google stuff, YouTube stuff, and you can do it yourself, like it just takes a little bit of playing around. And yeah, so I have that website now, and that's just kind of like a platform where people can, you know, join my waiting list and contact me now. And obviously if you're a brand and a business, you just need to have a website, and my website kind of represents what's on my Instagram and represents my businesses, you know, all about nutrition and recipes, etc. So that's what I did next. Pretty shortly after that, so all around the same time, while like I was kind of in the midst of doing my qualification and building the website, I got made redundant, and at this point I started looking for other jobs, and I was kind of applying for jobs similar to what I was doing. So I was working in radio, so when I got made redundant I was kind of looking at the radio jobs. I was also looking at like nutrition based jobs because I was thinking, well, I'm going to be, you know, qualified, so maybe there's, you know, something that I can do with this qualification. I feel like I fully believe like what's meant for you won't pass you, and if, you know, I ever have a job interview and I think like this is the job for me and I don't get it, I'm never overly disheartened because I just think that was never for me. Like, if it was for me, I would have it. And in the kind of process of these things, I was kind of getting really close, like to the end stages of these really appropriate for me jobs, and then I wasn't getting them. And I, even though like I felt like perfect for these jobs, and it just fully made me think like I'm not supposed to be doing this for someone else, I'm supposed to be working for myself. And I've always wanted to be self-employed. Like, I know there's kind of pros and cons that come with being employed and being self-employed, but I always wanted to be self-employed. But obviously it's scary, and like, you know, with money and things like that, and you know, at the time I wasn't qualified yet, and so obviously it is daunting, but sometimes you just literally have to like grab the bull by the horns and maybe take a few steps back to take a leap forward. And for me, like personally, I'd sold my house and moved back in with my mum for a couple of months, and then we went into lockdown, so I was never supposed to, you know, be there that long. And then when we went into lockdown, I moved in with Jeff, so it was quite a, you know, fortunate situation, I guess, that I wasn't paying rent, or I wasn't paying my mortgage at the time. Like, I'd sold my house and moved back home and whatever, so financially I didn't have that kind of pressure, so that was just like lucky for me. But obviously every circumstance is different, especially when it comes to finances. It's all very kind of confusing. So anyway, Jeff was always really encouraging. Like, Jeff was always like, you need to do Bloom's Eats as a business, and like he's always like fully like believed me and like backed me and said like, no, like this is your passion, like this is what you should be doing. But I didn't really know what that would entail. Like, yeah, okay, so I'm like qualified in nutrition, and like, you know, I love like food and recipes and fitness, and I've been through a weight loss journey, but what does that mean that my job is? Like, I have to invent something from scratch. So anyway, the next thing I did then was I was like, okay, well, I'm going to start my own business. I don't know what that's going to be, but let's register it. So I registered my business. Obviously that's something you have to do if you have your own business. So just did that, you know, on Companies House, or you know, you have to register yourself as either a sole trader or as a limited company. So at this point I'd finished my qualification, I was fully qualified, got my certificate, my website was kind of up and running in a kind of vague, not sure what it's going to entail sense, and then I needed to register myself as a business. But at this point I had decided I'm going to start my own business, and I just needed some advice and some help. And I'm really lucky with like the people I've worked with in the past, like a lot of like really successful people and a lot of really talented people, like such talented people, and I've always been the type of person who is never ashamed to ask for help. And I think that's one of the most important things, especially if you are looking to start your own business, like, or even in general, like, never be ashamed to ask for help. Like, if you think you know everything, you know nothing. And I heard that quote once, and it's so true. Like, even if you're fully like business savvy, business minded, like you can always benefit from having like some accountability, or just someone to kind of like bounce your ideas off. For me, I'm not business savvy. I've always been in employment, and when I obviously decided to start my own business, I reached out to someone I used to work with, one of my friends, Dean. So Dean is like, he's just always been just so business minded, like one of those people that you speak to and they're just really inspiring with like their attitude. They see things from a different perspective, and he had at the time 2 of his own businesses which he had alongside his employed job at Capital where I used to work. And you know, he's got no agenda, and he'll be really honest with me and kind of takes no shit. So anyway, I reached out to him and just said like, oh, can we grab like a coffee or something, because I just want to like run some, like just want to kind of get some advice basically. And he was like, yeah, come in, let's have a coffee. So we sat down and he was like, what are you kind of thinking? And I said, obviously, you know, I've qualified in nutrition and I've got a website, and like I basically just want to help people, because the whole thing is that I feel like I can resonate with so many people who would be in my situation when I used to be completely, you know, yo-yo dieting and doing fad diets and just couldn't manage my weight. And especially, I'm not a naturally active person. Like, I'm the type of person who would forge notes to get out of doing games and PE. Like, if we were ever going for like one of those group runs in PE, I would literally walk. And I used to hate walking. Like, if I was out with my friends, like, oh, we're gonna walk to the shop, I'd be like, oh my god, like, please can we not? Like, just does not come naturally to me. I'm not naturally athletic in any way, like at sports day or anything like that. I just hated it. And even like with nutrition, like I have the biggest appetite, and like I would just always be all or nothing. Like, I'm either, okay, I need to go on a diet, I'll starve myself, or I would just eat to excess. So I just felt like I could resonate with so many other people in my situation. So I kind of told Dean this, and he was like, right, we need to kind of formulate kind of business model, like how it will look. And he just, you can just see his like brain working, and he kind of helped like structure what the business would look like. So we kind of came up with the kind of business model and how it would look, and then he even like set me tasks. He's like, right, you need to go away and find 5 clients to trial this on. You need to find a software that you can use to do this. I just told him that I wanted to provide clients with like an ebook when they sign up, like a nutrition bible is what I call it. So he was like, go away and start writing that, and then we'll catch up like when you've done it. And I think he literally gave me like a week to find the 5 clients, like find the software and start writing the ebook. And he just kept me accountable. And obviously, if you don't have a Dean in your life, then you just need like a business mentor, because that's basically what like he was for me, like just keeping me accountable. And I think it was the following week then, he was like, how are you getting on? And I'd done it all. I was like, yeah, I've done that. And then we went back in and just kind of carried on refining it. And then he set me more tasks, like, right, find an accountant and use QuickBooks, which is like a software to manage your finances and manage your accounts. He said, put together like what your outgoings would be and like how much income you'd have. That's just a big tip that I want to give you, is get yourself a business mentor, like your local government, like we've got Business Wales here, like they provide like business mentors for like small startups and things like that. And I just think it was like invaluable to me, just having that person to like bounce ideas off and who can say that won't work or this is how it'll work, and like also this is how you can then expand. So personally, I registered as a limited company and not a sole trader, because with the job that I do, like I can only take on a certain amount of clients per month, and obviously if I want to scale that and take on more people, then maybe I can like hire someone in who can like help me, and then obviously that means I can take on more people and so on and so forth. So ideally it would be, there's a way that you can make things scalable, and that's obviously great for starting your own business instead of just being kind of like limited with your time, because obviously there's only so many hours in the day. The next thing then was funding. So I had so much to pay for in terms of like obviously my course, like my like I've been working for, you know, a company where they, you know, provide laptops and phones and all that sort of stuff for me. So I needed to pay for my like MacBook, and I paid for my course, and I needed to pay for all the softwares that I use. So like I use a software where I do my meal plans and I communicate with my clients and I do their check-ins and everything on there. So you have to pay for that. I had a graphic designer obviously create me like a logo and who graphic designed my ebook. So I sent her name's Tash, she's so good. I sent her like the raw materials and she zhuzhed it all up for me. So that's obviously a cost. There was just so many costs, and so I applied for a barriers grant with Business Wales, because at the time I was just unemployed and I have no income, and obviously I'm trying to set up my own business, and that was exactly what the barriers grant was for. I managed to get like a portion of a grant that helped me cover the cost, and so that did help me cover the cost of like my website for the year and the domains and the software that I use with my clients for the first year. So it's just really good to kind of help you get started. Never be too proud to like look into funding or grants, because they may be applicable to you. Like if not, then that's fine. Or if you are in employment and you're setting up like a side hustle, that's perfect, because you can kind of use like some money from your paid like employment to help fund your side hustle. And then obviously when your side hustle is in a place where you don't need to do your job anymore, then obviously that's the ideal scenario. But I'd been made redundant, so I was just unemployed and had no income for months whilst I was trying to set up my business. So that really just kind of helped take the edge off by covering some of the kind of fundamental costs that I needed for my business. That was great. And then other things which are absolutely key, and like I used to be a marketing manager, so I feel like marketing is kind of something which is always in the back of my head, but like branding and marketing. So like you need to have kind of clear brand guidelines, a brand voice. So to me, like branding and marketing is obviously crucial, especially if you're a new business. Like I already had my Instagram for 2 years when I started, so obviously there's already loads of content on there. Like I'd given out a lot of free content as well, you know, like given out so many like free recipes and like, you know, like fitness tips and just like general like health tips, and I'd given so much kind of for free for like years on Instagram that like it seemed ideal that like now it's like, well, now I've got a kind of product which is my nutritional coaching, so if you like this, like you can see it, this is like what I'm about, like if you like it then great, come on board. So I didn't really have to build that from scratch. I already had my logo and I kind of had like the kind of color scheme, and I know what my kind of ethos is, which is all about like balance and like eating the rainbow, but like also having everything in moderation. And for me to kind of like think of like branding and marketing, it's like quite easy, but if you're just like a brand new brand, you need to like actually think about like logos and like colors and like what your ethos is and like who you kind of relate to, and maybe like who your target demographic is and like who your competitors are. So for me, my business is obviously Eats Nutritional Coaching, but I felt like there was a gap in the market for the kind of like slimming world, Weight Watchers clientele. Like not everyone wants to go to the gym, and like not everyone enjoys exercise, and for me like it's food first. Like exercise is great for, you know, like increasing energy expenditure, therefore increasing your calorie deficit if you are trying to lose weight, but a lot of people will automatically think I need to lose weight, I need to exercise, whereas they should think I need to lose weight, like let's tailor my nutrition. So I think I'm the kind of go-to person. If exercise and go to the gym is not part of your routine, but you need to lose body fat or you want to lose body fat, like Slimming World and Weight Watchers, like I'm not going to bash them, you know, here on my YouTube channel, but I do think like a lot of these things demonize a lot of foods, whether they're sins or whatever it might be, and I'm just not about that life. Like no foods need to be demonized, like no foods need to be off limit. Like I feel very strongly about it, and I felt like there's a bit of a gap in the market for that kind of online like coach, or for, you know, maybe people who aren't like gym bunnies. So like obviously I've established that in my head, but again, if you're like a brand new business, like you need to establish all these things, like who are your competitors, like who is your target demographic, like what do you want to achieve, like how can you help people, and what does your brand look like, what does your brand sound like establish all these things. And if you are brand new, like do a mood board, like get creative, like cut out magazines, like, you know, get one of those vision boards and just kind of have a play around. That is crucial for a brand, and like consistency is key, like being the same across all platforms, whether that's like your Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, website. And even though, you know, there are huge brands, Apple, Nike, Adidas, like Sainsbury's, whatever, huge brands, they're very consistent in what they look like and where they appear. And when you see a brand kind of go off piste and do something a bit like not in character, it kind of makes you think, oh, like gotta be consistent and just know your brand. So I'd say like knowing your brand first and having like a purpose is key. I'd also say not focusing on the end goal, because I think that's one of the biggest mistakes you can kind of make, and I say this all the time, but unless you enjoy the process of something, you're not gonna do it. So don't start a business because you want to be a millionaire. Like start a business because you want to do the day-to-day things like that it entails. I know like enjoy the process is very, very cliche and whatever, but unless you can do something every single day, then you're not gonna stick at it. It's the same with like, don't start an Instagram account because you want 1,000 followers. Like start an Instagram account because you want to post on it every single day. And like you're not gonna start going to the gym just because you want to be muscly. Like you need to start going to the gym because you want to do that every single day and you want it to be part of your lifestyle. And it's the same with starting a business. Like start it because you want to be doing the day-to-day things, not just because you want to be the next Amazon, you know? So I think that's really important. That's kind of basically it. That's what I wanted to cover. Like I wanted to cover establishing what it is and why you're doing it first, and then any necessary qualifications you might need, and kind of getting in touch with the relevant people, having a business mentor, thinking about funding, thinking about websites, branding, marketing, planning like your outgoings and income and how that balances out, getting an accountant that you trust and get along with, getting them to teach you like how to pay your taxes and like what you need to do, because that's what these people are for. Like utilize it. And like at the end of the day, it's not going to be like an overnight process. Like I think for me it all kind of happened like very wing it, like okay, well I'm on furlough now, so may as well do my qualification. Like, oh, I may as well set up a website and get the domains. Like, okay, I've been made redundant, like kind of want to set something, I may as well register as a business, and okay, maybe I need a bit of help. But like, I mean, on Instagram, I announced obviously, and I was like, okay, like, this is my new business and whatever, and then that might trigger someone to be like, oh, whereas like, no, that wasn't just like an overnight thing and I just knew exactly what I was doing. Like I literally had no clue what I was doing, but that's why you have to ask for help. And there are so many resources out there. Like I said, hit up your local like government scheme and all that sort of thing, and like never think that you know everything. Like keep learning. Like, even now, like I qualified at the end of last year, but like I regularly do like online seminars, and like I'm always trying to learn like more and more and more about nutrition, because it's such like a vast subject and it's my passion. So like I love learning new things, and I never claim to like know everything. So that's important. Like whatever field you're in, like you can always learn and you can always support other similar brands. So I'm like really fortunate that like I released my waiting list and it kind of blew up and beyond my expectations, and I can only take on, like I said, a certain amount per month. So I'm still kind of making my way through that waiting list. Obviously I've only been like in my business properly, like live, for 2 months, so it'll probably be a couple more months until I am able to kind of get more people on the waiting list, I guess. But I think if you're passionate about something and you're authentic and you're just you, because no one can beat you at that, then you'll do well, because like if you care about something enough, like other people are bound to. And I think it really comes across like authenticity and just passion. So whatever it is, like don't just do something for a quick buck. I think I'm quite fortunate in a sense that I'm not money driven at all. Like I don't find happiness from money, because money is infinite. I don't think you find happiness from things that are infinite, because there's no set amount of money in the bank account that just automatically gives you happiness. There's just no I'll be happy when. So I would try not to focus on earning money, like focus on what's going to make you happy every day. And like, I can't believe I'm saying this now, but my day-to-day routine like makes me so happy. It's like all I've ever wanted. Of course there are pros and cons to being employed and self-employed, but everyone is different, and I would say prioritize building something that you want to do every day, because that's what's going to make you happy, not a certain figure in the bank account. So I'm gonna wrap that up there. Maybe I'll do like a part 2 or something, maybe in like a few months time. Like I said, I am new, like I wanted to just talk about kind of the process to getting to the starting point, but I really hope that kind of helped you. I know it was very off the cuff. I don't tend to like plan these videos. I just kind of try and like speak from like actual experience. If I plan it too much, then you know, you kind of like miss things out. But I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did enjoy it, please give it a like, because it really helps the algorithm on YouTube for other people to discover this delightful video, and also my channel. And please subscribe, because I am new on YouTube. I've been uploading on YouTube for 3 months now. So I'm a new YouTuber and I need all the help that I can get. So if you would subscribe, that'd be amazing. I upload videos every Wednesday and Sunday, usually like health, fitness, recipes, lifestyle, bants with my boyfriend, and some like housey things and just general lols. So yeah, if you just stick around, then I'd be very grateful. And if you have any questions about anything that I've talked about, then just leave them in the comments and I'd be happy to get back to you. But I'll see you in my next video, which will be on Sunday. So I will see you then. Thank you so much for made it this far.